Welcome back. We have new details emerging about the teenager who was found in the trunk of singer David's Tesla. According to police records, sheriff's deputies in Lake Elsinore, California visited Celeste Rivas Hernandez's family home 11 times between February and April of 2024. Think about that, 11 times during those few months, including 3 visits on March 19th of that year. Now, TMZ is reporting that most of these calls were listed as minor crime investigation, and one was for suspicious circumstances. The teenager, we know, was reported missing on April the 5th of 2024. And in a video obtained by TMZ, Hernandez's casket was seen carried to her final resting place. Look at this. On Monday, family and friends of Hernandez gathered together to say their final goodbyes as the slain teenager was laid to rest. And as the investigation rolls on, no one has been charged. So what comes next in the case investigation, and what can we expect? Let's talk about that. Let's bring in retired NYPD detective Tom Smith and attorneys Casey Early and Franz Burke. Good morning to you all. Detective Smith, let me begin with you. What do you think should come next here?
Well, they're going to continue to look at the evidence. They're going to continue to do interviews, and they're awaiting the final disposition of the autopsy. That's going to be a big part in this to determine the actual cause of death of this young girl. And that is going to, proceed forward with where the investigation goes from there. But as of right now, they're doing what they should do. Just a number of interviews, any data, footprint that she has, going through everyone's social media just to see any connection or any lead that might come up with this young girl's past.
Appreciate it, Tom. Franz, let me go to you. Tapping into your experience as a former prosecutor, do you think we can assume at this point in time that prosecutors in LA County are working together with those detectives as they're working the case investigation? Oh, and you know what? I think your audio might be muted, Franz. Let's take just a pause here. I'll come back to you on that question because I want to hear about the prosecution perspective. Let me jump ahead. Casey, look at things from the defense perspective, if you would, for us here. In terms of what may be happening and rights, thinking about that vehicle, we know it's registered to David, but clearly abandoned, and there is evidence that many other people were using that car from what's been reported. What are some of the things, Casey, that these detectives need to be extra careful about in terms of search and seizure as they're collecting those pieces of evidence, please?
Well, we know this is a purely circumstantial case, although there's too many coincidences. From the standpoint as a defense attorney, the matching tattoos, the fact that they were supposedly in a relationship, the age difference, it still is circumstantial. There's no direct evidence he had not made a confession, although there was a song. That song was written a few years prior to this incident. So this still is a great case for the defense, but again, they would have to overcome some of these mere coincidences. There's speculation as to a possible motive that the defense should be working to rebut, that the Ms. Hernandez was possibly pregnant, considering their age gap, 14 at the time. He's 19 now. He faced potential prior maybe potential sexual battery charges of a minor. So the defense has to prepare in advance of what the possible motive that the prosecution can possibly bring forth. But other than that, this is a purely circumstantial case.
Yeah, for sure, Casey. And we did get some information too. I can tell you that they did confirm that she was not pregnant at the time, but as you all know, still doesn't mean there wasn't a sexual battery here that may have gone on, because we know that there was an age difference between her and David. So if they were in fact in a sexual relationship, could still mean charges. We'll see what happens. Franz, let's do a take two, going from the perspective of these prosecutors. Might they be working with the detectives?
Yes. So it's all about making the case, right? It's finding out who did the crime, and then how are we going to make the case. The detective generally is the quarterback, but the a good prosecutor working in concert with law enforcement is kind of like the head coach. And they're going to be the ones that ultimately have to present this to the grand jury and possibly to a petit jury. So, you know, working in concert's always the way to go. I always enjoyed going to crime scenes because it gave me that third eye view of this is what it looks like, this is what it smells like, pictures don't do that justice. You can't recreate certain things that way. So I have no doubt that they're working in concert together. And look, just because there isn't an arrest yet, doesn't mean that there's not going to be one. It's all about making the case and making sure they have everything they need to make sure they have the right person and they can ultimately get a conviction.
Definitely, Franz, definitely. Tom Smith, while we have you, isn't it true that you detectives are always 3 steps ahead of what the public and the media will ever know?
Well, we hope that. That's a good impression to leave with everyone. But both guys came up with great points with this because the relationship between detectives and DAs is so important because you want to rely on both parties' experience and what they're doing and what they can bring to this case. And the other part is, you know, detectives can't think too highly of one particular person. You have to keep an open mind when it comes to this case because it might not be what we're all looking at. It might be something else, and that's why all these parties need to work together to run down all these leads of anything possible that could happen with this.
Definitely. Having that legal guidance from prosecutors, always a good thing for the case investigators. Tom, thank you for that. Let's turn to another aspect of this. So while the investigation continues, singer David has hired a very prominent criminal defense attorney. So his legal name is David Anthony Burke, but goes by the singing name David. And his attorney's name is Blair Burke. Different spelling. B-U-R-K-E is singer's last name, and B-E-R-K is the attorney's name. So Blair Burke, the attorney, no stranger to high-profile cases. We have a list of his notable clients here: Harvey Weinstein, Lindsay Lohan, Kanye West, Mel Gibson, Britney Spears. And many of our courties remember seeing him recently as he represented Monica Sementilli in the celebrity hairstylist murder case.
The prosecution has described to you this great life Monica was having because of Fabio's salary and the lifestyle that afforded. The prosecution has told you the facts will be that Fabio and Monica went on these wonderful trips to Cabo, to Mexico. Why? Because he was awarded, as long as he was working, these trips for free. So what happens if Fabio Sementilli is dead? What possible benefit would Monica Sementilli have for cutting herself off from that, what Ms. Silverman described as a lavish lifestyle?
All right, so there was a little sample of what attorney Blair Burke can do in the courtroom. That is her representing Monica Sementilli, and now she's representing David for whatever comes next. So our next question to the power panel is kind of a fill-in-the-blank question. David's new attorney will what his defense? What will this attorney do for his defense? Casey Early, what do you think, please?
Provide that consistent, zealous advocacy that she's known to do for all of her other clients. And as she should. I mean, David has the financial resources. It's not like he's indigent. He's not going to have an assistant public defender. So you utilize those resources that you've gained from your society, living on the internet all your life and you know, appealing to the masses to get that strong defense if you ever want to go back on trial. So he's preparing early, as he should. I mean, again, right now, he appears to be the prime suspect, and I do believe he knows that there could be possible charges. So have that defense team early because this is going to be a long trial.
Yeah, great advice, Casey. Franz, to you next, please. Take us home here. What do you think this attorney will do for the defense?
I think she's going to proactively prosecute a defense, which is to say that she is going to be vocal about how her client is not only not guilty, but innocent. She's going to start perpetuating theories. She's good. Let's not mince words. I mean, if you can't have Casey or Josh Schiffer, this is a good one to have. And I think
you,
that
Franz
ultimately,
Borghardt, don't leave yourself out of that mix.
Humility.
Stop.
So my point is I think that zealousness sometimes means prosecuting, and I use that word intentionally, prosecuting a defense. And that's being on the offensive. And I think that that's what she is really good at. And I think that this is going to be a formidable display of opposition with the county DA. And that's a good thing. We need that for justice.
Yeah, sure do. Great point to end on there. We'll leave it there for now.